Right. A pleasant day to every one of you guys. We have here a recorded lecture for our second topic, which is going to be on uh, the self and the self from various perspectives or various philosophical perspectives, no? And I have made this video because I have to attend to some urgent matters that needed to be addressed, no, just admin works, no. So I hope you guys have been doing well, and I also need to follow up regarding your outputs, no. So please submit it so I'll be able to grade it now. Because I'm going to have another follow-up activity for this recorded lecture. All right? Okay, so let's start, no? Start with the prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
All right. Okay. Once again, no, good day to everyone. So we'll be starting with our second lesson, which is about the self from the various philosophical perspectives, no? And just a quick recap on the lessons that we tackled last time. Sorry, let me just pause for a while. All right, sorry for that interruption. Um, let's have a quick recap on what we discussed last meeting. So we've discussed now about the different aspects or different dimensionalities of the self and how both nature and nurture can have a big impact or influence in the formation of ourselves. What is the difference of the self from identity? No? And what else? Several, we've also discussed the different factors, no, to the self, like um, social factor, environmental factor, heredity factor, and person volition factor. We've also discussed this, so I hope you will take some notes while viewing this recorded lecture, no? So you can have a guide later on. Okay, so right, so for today's lesson, no, I'll just transfer my camera. Um, I'll be explaining to you why it is I think we've already discussed this now, why it is essential to understand the self. And we will be describing and discussing the different notions of the self from different philosophers on various philosophical perspectives, no? And we will be comparing and contrasting how the self has been represented in different school of thoughts and examine one's self against the different views of self that were discussed in class. So we'd also compare the views that you have about yourself to that of these philosophers. No? Okay. So let's start with what is philosophy, or knowing what is this philosophy. So philosophy is the mother of all disciplines. No, this is the origin of several scientific undertakings, different disciplines in the social science. For example, like in history, anthropology, psychology, sociology, um, also with with several science related subjects like math or like math, trig, or anything, no? So it's really, a mother of all disciplines, no? And we also begin with the definition or the official definition of the self. This is the unified being, essentially connected to consciousness, awareness, and agency. So back in those days, no, before we have like science to find out the phenomena of several things, and also in nature, no, we still have philosophy. And in philosophy, we have philosophical discourses. We have this, you know, um, some contemporary or ancient philosophers would debate, would discuss, no, and doubt. They would examine these ideas if they stand to be reasonable, if they seem to be logical, no, until they arrive at such conclusion that is logically or reasonably sound. So the study of philosophy really evolved from that of being pure abstractions into a scientific explanations now. So we will begin with this one philosopher and his sorry. So we will tackle Sadno what is empiricism and rationalism before we discuss the philosophical views of this person. No? So on a divide, there are several different perspectives no, about the self. This is mere human nature. No, we have different opinions, different views about one thing. No, um, maybe some person, there an example of this no would be that a person would view a number six differently from that of a person who views it as number nine. No, it's the same it's the same number but different perspectives. No. So we have here a different perspective, philosophical perspectives about the self. No, you have here empiricism and you have also rationalism. So empiricism is grounded more on the idea that a knowledge is derived from experience, no, mainly through our um, everyday experience through our five senses, no, sa atong sight, hearing, atong taste, atong feel or atong touch or pain. So conclusions are derived through these five senses. This is very in contrast, no, with the idea of rationalism that we have this innate knowledge. We already know most of the knowledge. No, we just have to sort it out. We have to examine it, scrutinize it, and debate over it. So ideas are rooted in the ideal or true, and the method or the instrument by which we arrive at this conclusion is more on through logic or reasoning or debating about it. So we have philosophers who lean towards the scientific observations, no? Their ideas are more on drawing from their immediate surroundings, immediate experiences, whereas on rationalism, it's more about ideas being explored through logic or reasoning. Right, so, okay, so let's discuss the different point of views of self from different philosophers. No, we'll start with the rationalist perspective about self. So we have here our very first philosopher, Socrates. He's from Greece, Athens, no? And he's really a very famous philosopher back in his days. He would discuss his ideas in public, especially to the young men of Athens, no? And his ideas about moral principles, ethics, and about the self, no, it's the first source of that. It wasn't really about his work because he didn't write it pretty much. So his ideas were mainly documented by his student Plato, which I will be discussing later on. No? So Socrates emphasized more on the dualistic body and soul, or the dualism of the body and soul, and he's more concerned about no the problem of the self. So we have to deeply know thyself. No, the unexamined life is not worth living. Now, for him, it's very important we really know, or we really explore about ourselves, no, what we have, who we are as a person, no. His story goes like this, no. He's been accused by several politicians back in his days. He's been accused of corrupting the minors, no. By the word corrupting, what I mean is he's somehow, poisoning the minds of these minors, and he was um he was sentenced to death, no, for doing such thing, no. So for them it was already a big deal during his time, no. Some people in high places during that time didn't like the idea of him discussing, debating with his students and putting ideas into their minds, no. So um they made him drink poisonous hemlock. I mean, sorry. He was actually given a choice, no, if whether he can live, but then he won't have to teach or discuss to his students, or he also have a choice, no, to poison or kill himself using the poison that they gave him. So what he chose, no, he chose drinking that poison, no. And while doing this, he also taught his students about the this part of his life, about that, that there's nothing there's nothing really to be worried about this thing. No? Could you imagine that you're already in the brink of life and that, and then you still chose to teach them this stage of your life, no? So it's really amazing. So much of his works have been documented by his prominent student Plato. So Plato also have a different ideas about the self. No, so for him there should we should our goal of ourself is to achieve human justice, or justice in the human person. So what does this mean? No? For him, for the self to achieve justice, it has to harmoniously work in these three kinds of soul that we have, no? 'Di ba nag-mention lang ko kanina nga we have body and soul, no? For each of us. That's the phenomena. That's the body, the finite body nga imperfect, and the perfect or infinite soul, which will survive once the body is, probably dead or, so for him, there's actually three parts or three kinds of soul that we have. You have here the rational soul, the spirited soul, and the appetitive soul. The rational soul is more, it governs more on reason and logic, no? And the spirited soul, it pertains to our emotions, no, our passions. And the appetitive soul is one which pertains to our hunger, um, our thirst, our primeval drive like lust, those kind of things, no? So for a person or a self to achieve human justice or justice in the human person, those three have to work harmoniously. And then next, no, we also have a few centuries later, we also have theologians who have a different perspective of themselves, no. So they later on infused this philosophy of Socrates and Plato with religious views or religious ideas. So Saint Augustine of Hippo asserted that man is of bifurcated nature. So he described it as having two kinds of nature of man. That's the worldly nature, no. That's the imperfect, finite nature of man, the human body. That that's the worldly nature of man, no? And you also have here, no, the divine nature of man, that which is eternal and perfect, no. So once the worldly nature of man, your body actually dies or decompose, no, the soul or the divine aspect of yourself will survive. So the goal is to attain communion with divine by living a virtuous human life. So this is pretty much in line with his Catholic and religious views, no, during his time, where there seems to be a belief, no, for an afterlife, no, and ang iyahang tinuohan, sorry, iyang tinuhan is ang self mo transcend na siya beyond sa physical realm na to into the divine or something which is, something beyond, no, the human world. And you also have Saint Thomas Aquinas. He's one of the I think he's the patron saint of UST or University of Santo Tomas, no. So they have him as their patron saint, no. So for him, man consists of two parts. That's the hyle and the form. So hyle is more on matter, your body cells, common things that exist in universe, and form or morph is the essence of things. So what makes us different from those animals or other beings, no, is our soul. Also with our free will as a person. Our soul is what makes us human, no. So I think it has already been discussed in your humanities subject, no, that um all of us have been endowed with free will, no. So this is what makes us human, or this is what distinguishes us from other species. No, we're able to make a choice, able to have decision, able to evaluate, or able to, do a lot of thinking. No? Our soul is what makes us a human. So that's his idea. Now we go on to the empiricist perspective about the self. So the empiricists, no, they're more akin to grounding their ideas on what they can really, experience. They're more on behaviors, they're more on what can be manifested, what can be. overtly observe, no? So we have here a famous mathematician, no, Rene Descartes. In his The Meditations of First Philosophy, no, he emphasized the importance of doubt, no. One should believe that which can pass doubt. And he's also famous for having that quote, no, nga, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So what makes us a human, no, is our ability to think, our thinking self, our ability to rationalize through logic, reasoning, no. So there's two parts of the self, no. That's the cogito or the thing that thinks and extensa, extension of the mind. So for him, dualistic ang iyang ang nature sa iyang self is dualistic, no. Um, ang atong self or atong soul mao naga-control sa tong body. So mura bitaw kanang at mura siyang octopus guys nga ang iyang brain mo naga-control sa iyang mga tentacles bitaw mura ingana. So ang body nato, that's only the extension of our mind. And we also have no David Hume. So for him, self is a bundle of impressions. Sorry. So what are these impressions? These impressions are basic objects of our experience, no, or sensation. And ideas are copies of impressions. So we are actually, we are a collection for him, no. We are a collection of impressions. Okay, sige, for a while lang sa ha. So what we have, like what we have perceived, no, in our environment, in our world, or in an immediate environment, no, that is what composes of ourselves, no. And ideas are just a copies of our impressions. So all knowledge now passes through the senses and separate ideas can be joined in the mind. There's no self, only a bundle of perceptions. So para sa iya, we're just, bundle of perceptions who can feel joy, who can feel sadness, who can feel grief. So that's his idea of the self. Now we also go to Immanuel Kant. You have here the apparatuses of the mind. For him, no, the self is what organizes the impressions that we have collected, or that we have experienced. He also believes that it is intelligence, no, that integrates all of these knowledge and experiences. So, for him, no, if you have probably encountered his philosophy, no, what really makes us human is our ability to be good, ability to do something good, no. So most of that is really something unique about Immanuel Kant. I remember back in philosophy in my college days, no, my philo professors have great adoration for him because of his philosophical ideas. But all of us are actually capable of doing or being good. No one is really born evil or psychopath or anything that deviates from good. So Gilbert Ryle, for him, the self originates from behavior. So the self is a bundle of behaviors caused by physical workings of our body. So the concept of mind, no? So para saya, di ba kang Rene Descartes is I think therefore I am. Saya is I act therefore I am. So it's more of really a behaviorist na view about sa self. And the mind is a category mistake brought about by habitual use. The only way it can affect the other is through the external world. So for ourselves, for us to be able to experience the world, no? I'm sorry. Ang ato ang self, it's actually an extension. We actually extend ourselves to others or to our immediate environment, no, to the world, no. That's how it, for him, that's how it works. The mind is not a seat of self. It is not a separate parallel thing to our physical body. So it's not like kanang marag na ay kanang bitong energy or something sa atong body. It is actually integrated sa atong ang atong self or ang atong soul. It is actually integrated sa atong body or sa atong more on sa atong behavior, no. The manifestations of ourselves is on our behavior. And lastly, we have Merleau-Ponty. All experience is embodied and asserts that mind and body are intertwined. We are our bodies, no? All of our experiences are embodied, so it's not something that only our soul experiences. It's not something that our body alone experiences. It's something that both our soul and body, which is intertwined, experiences. No. So there. So okay. So I hope you have my lecture or recorded lecture is clear. No. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always email me sa or chat me in LMS. No. So also this is the activity for the follow-up activity, no, for this one. So just please answer the application and assessment numbers 1 to 8. That's the same format that you did with the other output. So the deadline for this one, it's going to be this week, Sunday lang, because I'm also grading other subjects, no. So I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching my recorded lecture video, and I hope to see you soon, guys. If dili na kayo busy, no? So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me so we can address or I can address your concern and we can talk about that. All right? Sige. So goodbye, everyone, and have a great day to all.